Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Core 4 session, How the Past Informs the Present, with NewsBank's America's Historical Newspapers resource. My name is Katherine Bergerson. I am the Vice President of Marketing at NewsBank. I will be joined today by my colleague, Matt Stawicki. Just to let you know, our session is being recorded and we will send out a copy of it to everyone following today's presentation. Also, all of our contact information, along with the resources and the websites that we share today, they're all in the handout section. So if you open up the handout icon, you can download it anytime during our presentation today. Right now, with so many issues in the world, this is truly the right time to be taking a look at how past issues and events inform what's going on in our world today. And truly important how you can leverage America's historical newspapers to support your discussions and assignments relative to your school or district's curriculum. So quickly, to share our agenda with you, we'll give you an overview of the rich collection, what it includes, and what really makes America's historical newspapers unique. We'll show you how to search and how to pinpoint the information that's most relevant to your area of interest. We have some ideas to share with you about how to build visibility of this resource, really get it into the hands of your teachers and students and into those assignments. We do have time for a few questions, so please, you'll see again the icons on, I think it's the left side of your screen. Pop that open, type your question in there. We'll do our best to get to all of them. If we run short on time, we do commit to getting back to you in the very near future. To share a brief bit of background on NewsBank, we are a leading news and information provider to schools, libraries, research institutions all around the world. And I'm proud to share with you that we have been a family-owned business for more than 50 years. We aggregate sources, again, from all around the world to bring you, your teachers and students, credible, vetted, global news sources, many of which are unique to NewsBank and all of which are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from any device, so they can be accessed in the classroom or remotely. Now, to take a walk through America's historical newspapers, I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Matt Stawicki, who is the Vice President of Sales for K-12 schools and community colleges. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Catherine, and thank you for that tremendous introduction. I appreciate that. So today, we are going to jump into America's historical newspapers. This is one of the flagship products from our Core 4 collection of resources that we make available to schools, not just locally and here in the U.S., but internationally. The America's Historical Newspapers is a set of historical newspapers, digital images of these newspapers that go from 1690, the very first newspaper ever published in the U.S., all the way through to 2000. With that, let me share my desktop and let's jump into this resource, and we can really get to exploring this. Everybody see my desktop okay?
We can.
Okay, great. So this is our landing page, and you'll note here, select an era from 1690 to 2000, and we highlight every major era in U.S. history. That's really the key to exploring this database. When I click on any one of these, you'll note I have 3 columns of information: government, military, and political events, social, cultural issues, discoveries, inventions, and firsts. And then underneath each of those, we of course highlight what are the major things that occurred or the major people from each of these eras in history. Regardless of which one I go to, you'll note we have the same 3 columns of information. Okay, so example, tying in the past and present. George Washington, our first president here, I've got information here about who he was. So this is a secondary source written by our editorial team. Okay, if I wanted to read the entire thing, I can click on that to read the whole thing. And you'll note we have comprehension questions. Do I understand what I'm reading and so on? And we even make suggestions for additional projects that can be done around this specific topic or person. We have primary source articles that have already been pulled to support this event in history. And in case you didn't find what you were looking for here, we create searches. So how do I connect the past and present? Well, you know what? Maybe I want to look at the first inaugural ceremony that was done and compare it to one that we just had from the recent election. Okay, so here's information literally from the New York Packet, May 1, 1789, talking about that first inauguration. You'll note here, I've got thumbnails. The entire issue of the newspaper is loaded. And then we've got tools for the user. So I can view more articles from this event in history. I can search the page or the issue for more information because, again, we have the entire thing loaded. I can see this is where I was pulling this information from, issue 902, page 2 and 3. I can create a citation and export it to EasyBib, RefWorks, or Noodle Tools. Here, for example, is the MLA 9 citation, and I can copy and paste that. I can email this to someone. I can clip a piece of this article out, and I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. We can print it, the full page or a clip. We can download it, the full page or a clip. Copy link, so this is a link that will always go to this article. We integrate with Google Classroom, also integrate with Canvas and Schoology. So there's many different LTIs that can help integrate with your LMS system. And again, peruse the entire thing. Previous page, next page. I can jump to a page this way, or again, use my thumbnails. Okay, we have the breadcrumbs to get back to where I started. And then, of course, the timeline. Regardless of whatever one of these I go into, they're all, again, organized the same way. So the key about this database, though, is it's not just social studies. It is truly a cross-curricular database because we load the entire issue of the newspaper. So you'll note here, Grapes of Wrath. So I'm getting into literature. And what did they think of Steinbeck's work back in 1939 when he created that? Here's information around the Holocaust, right? The United Nations, I'm getting into civics. Sikorsky perfects the helicopter, and of course the nuclear era comes in. So now I'm getting into the science side of the house. I've got the musical Oklahoma for theater. And I've even got here, All American Girls Professional Baseball. We will create entries on this timeline at your request, and that baseball one is one of those that we've created because we realize that we may not have covered everything that you study, and we'll add that because if you need it, chances are somebody else needs it. Another example of that is women's in military. Okay, so we created this at the request of a customer that was doing this for National History Day. So you'll note we created the summary. We've got those articles that we've pulled to support this event in history and those searches. So maybe I didn't find what I was looking for here. I click on Lady Marines and that will run that search, and you'll note very targeted, just 13 results. So now I've got those results around the Lady Marines. That will help me with my project and my essay or whatever it might be. And again, the entire issue of the newspaper is loaded, and we've got those tools across the top. So maybe in this case, I want to clip out a piece of this article, okay? Because I don't want the bottom of this. I only want the top, all right? I can select clip. I can size this. So I'm going to get rid of the bottom of this and only keep what I need for this article. And then I have the option to print it, download it to a PDF, or save it to Google. I will download this and I'll include that citation right away. So it makes my life that much easier. It's now going to clip this off of the page for me and provide a nice clean PDF that I can use and submit. So you see here, now I've got that article without that lower advertisement, and I realize it's too small, but my citation, you can't read it, is right there. So I've got that available. So it makes it very, very easy to use, okay? And then again, I can go back to where I started here and then back to the timeline. So the timeline is really that easy to use, and it goes literally from the very first newspaper ever published in the United States in 1690 all the way through to 2000. Now, you can also keyword search this database. So if I click on this tab for keyword, I can search, for example, immigration. Again, something we hear a lot about, and it's not something that just started. Immigration has been around for quite some time, of course. So here are articles around immigration. And if you're familiar with our Access World News database, we've got the same type of filters here, and we default to the newest article. Well, you know what? I want to go to the oldest. So I can simply click that and go to the oldest article first. And here you'll see we've got information around immigration from all the way back in the 1700s. Okay. I can use filters to further filter my data. So I can put in my own ad hoc set of dates. So if there's a specific year I'm looking for, I can do that. Okay. This is all newspapers. So the source type is always going to be newspapers. This gives me my results by year, so I can see the number of results year by year. Okay. We can go to a specific title name. So I click more options here, and if there's a specific title name I'm looking for, okay. Example, I just started typing Miami. Here's the Miami Herald. So I can get that information, and you'll note that Miami Herald is loaded from 1911 to 1922. Okay. We can go to a specific source location. So if I only wanted information from a specific state, I can do that. Okay, I can scroll, or I can start typing here. Okay, I just hit P, so now I can get that information just from Pennsylvania and hit apply, and that would give me just those results. This is mainly English, but there are some splatterings of various languages available. As you note here, we've got a bunch of Spanish, there's French, and so on. So by clicking that, that would give me the results in Spanish, okay? And we'll see English as well, because we get information in multiple languages. We can filter by article type. Okay, we have clipped articles out, and when we've done that, we've identified what they are. So maybe I only want cartoons. So that gives me, as you'll see here, when I click this first one, here's our term immigration, and this is a cartoon out of the Philadelphia Inquirer from 1894, quite some time ago. But it's a great way, again, to get to information. I'll click back to results. I can remove that filter simply by clicking in the X. I can filter by era in history, and these are the same eras as we saw on the timeline. And then you can also filter by presidential eras. So here you'll see we've got presidential eras from George Washington all the way through to Bill Clinton. Okay, so you can literally hone in, and it would apply that date filter for you. So keyword searching is very, very easy, using the filters to get to the information you're looking for. Again, just helps you refine what you're looking for. Okay. Click NewsBank, and I can get back to where I've started. This happens to be the Access World News. I'll click right here, and here's our historical timeline. That gives you a good view of the America's historical newspapers. Any questions I might be able to answer that came through?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Matt. Yeah, so much. Boy, once you start digging in, you just want to keep going and going and going. There's so much cool information in there. Thank you. Yes, so if there are any questions, again, just open up that icon on the side of your screen and type them in there. We do have a few. Okay, Matt, if there is something or if I don't find something I'm looking for on the timeline, what can I do or where can I go?
Okay, so if you can't find it on the timeline, again, we will create entries for you. So, if you're looking for something in the Civil War era and you didn't find it, what you can do is email that information that you're looking for to your account executive, your customer service rep, or you can even click this share feedback button up here, and you can share your feedback here, and that'll get to us. When we get that information, we'll then reach back out to you to gather more information about that topic, and we can create that entry and actually add it to the timeline for you. To do that, it will take roughly 3 weeks to a month, okay? Because when we add an entry, we're going to create this summary for you right away. We're going to add those comprehension questions. We've got to find the proper primary source content for you, and then those searches. So it does take a little bit of time to add, but we're happy to do that because if you need it, chances are somebody else needs it.
Somebody else does too. Yeah, that's a great question. And yes, certainly do reach out to us. It's a great service that we provide. Good question. Do you have any tips that can help us when searching historical documents?
Sure do. So actually, I'll go over here to this keyword. So one of the first tips I'll give you is historical newspapers, of course, are difficult to search. And way back when, they have what they call a long S, and that long S looks like an F. So if I wanted to search out the Constitution, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a question mark where that S is, and then I will finish typing my term, okay? Now when I hit search, what's going to happen is the system is going to search out that word Constitution, and you'll note here, there is the letter S there. But when I click oldest, okay, what we're going to see is we're going to see what looks like the letter F here. And I'm going to click on this just to illustrate that a little better for you. And I'm going to go here because this came from the Boston newsletter. And when I click here, you'll see that in the title here, the Boston newsletter, you'll note the word Boston, B-O, what looks like an F, T-O-N. So that's a long S. Okay, that was used up into the 1800s because when the letter S was put in the middle of a word, typically the head or tail of the S would break off. So that's one tip I can give you right away on searching historical newspapers. Additionally, Catherine's going to reference our reference center that gives you other help there. And we've got a document there on tips on searching. And there is also a document that we can give you on terms to be used when searching historical documents, because they didn't always call things the same, right? So if I'm looking automobile, back then they might have called it motor car. So terms like that we've got a document that can help with that as well.
So fascinating. Thank you, Matt. Yes, well, that's a great segue into our top 5 ready-to-use engagement strategies. We want to get this information into the hands of your teachers and your students, and we've got some ideas to help you get started. So our number one way is to build up your online web presence. Of course, the more places that you can add links to resources like this, the more likely it is that people will discover them. So if you do a featured resource of the month, or perhaps a Did You Know section, place it there. You can see on your screen some examples. There's a school in Ohio who placed it in a section that they call History, Geography, and Culture. Another example from Wethersfield, Connecticut, who grouped all of their NewsBank resources together. And then York High School in Illinois placed it in their primary sources in history section. So those are a few ideas you can draw on. Or in our Marketing Resource Center, we do have graphics and brief product descriptions. You can take them right out of there and put it onto your website. So again, the more places that you can make access points, the more likely it is that people will use the resource. Number 2 is scavenger hunt. This is a very popular way to get students right into the resource with our ready-to-use scavenger hunts. You can download or share the link and get students right in to search. Again, this is a very popular introductory activity located in our resource center. And Matt mentioned that NewsBank resources integrate with discovery services and learning management systems like Blackboard and Canvas. So we have web pages with PDFs and video instructions on how you can add articles to your assignments. So it makes it very easy. So for example, if you have an assignment focusing on a very local issue, perhaps you want to compare an issue that your school board is dealing with today, you could compare it to what topics school boards were discussing perhaps 50 years ago. You can pull a few articles and links and add them right into your assignments. Or you could, again, look at how issues have changed, or perhaps they've stayed the same. Another idea is to take a national issue in history, perhaps the Great Depression, and you can compare it with how was it covered in New York or Boston, with San Francisco or a smaller city, perhaps in your own community. So you can take a look at that. And with our step-by-step guides, you can learn how to integrate those NewsBank links and content right into your LMS. Number 4 is video views. Video is the #1 way to engage. We have a brief video and how to use for America's historical newspapers. Please feel free to use our link. You can add it to your website near the resource, put it on your YouTube page, share it on social media, put it in a newsletter. It's a great way to remind colleagues and students who might need just a quick refresher on how to use the resource. You might even want to combine that with the scavenger hunt. Those can make a great pair of ways to build that visibility and really get people into the resource. And number 5, host a hands-on training. NewsBank, Matt's team offers complimentary training sessions for our customers, or if you're interested in bringing NewsBank and this resource into your school or district, Matt's team, gather up a group. Matt's team will be happy to customize a presentation specifically to fit your needs and what you are looking for. Also, I mentioned at the beginning of today's event that you will receive a recording of Matt's presentation. Feel free to use it and share it with others if it's helpful. We've often heard that people use it on professional development days. They give it to onboard new teachers and staff. So however we can help get this into the hands of more people, we are happy to do that. So those are my top 5 engagement strategies. I have 2 quick bonus ideas. Using social media or newsletters, again, as a way to keep this resource top of mind. Just wanted to share a few quick examples. I like to call them Learn from Librarians, of how other schools have made fun social media posts out of articles that they found in America's historical newspapers. These also make a neat addition from time to time in a staff newsletter, district e-newsletter. And again, another bonus idea, we've got some videos from librarians. Again, Learn from Librarians. If you download this presentation, 2 quick videos. One is from Elizabeth Alexander. She is a librarian in Texas, and she talks about how she uses Access World News, and America's historical newspapers to develop what she calls critical users of information. And the second is a story about how her school's debate team used their NewsBank resources to place in the top 10 in a debate contest in Texas. It was their first time entering the contest, and I think they came in number 6 in the state of Texas in their division. So that was really exciting for them, and they credit the research that they did in their NewsBank resources. So we're very proud to share those with you. So all of this information and more are in our Marketing and Resource Center at newsbank.com. We've also have bookmarks, those search tips. Matt mentioned it. We've heard, over time, language changes. What we call climate change today was not always called that, or global warming. Though, the terminology for environmental issues, as one example, has changed over time. So we have a comprehensive list of ways to make the most out of searching a similar or same topic over time, and how the vocabulary has changed. So those are our top engagement strategies, along with a few bonus ideas. So again, if you download this presentation right now from the handout section, you'll have all of this information and the links available, so you don't have to hunt and peck around for them. If you have any trouble, shoot us an email and we'll be happy to help you out and send it over to you. We do host a series of sessions on our core 4 products. So along with today's session on America's historical newspapers, we have sessions on Access World News, our research collection. We have our Life in America series, and also Research Rocket. Those dates and times are available on our website. We encourage you to join all of them. Thank you so much for spending a part of your day with us today. As you leave, there'll be a brief survey. Let us know what you thought about today's session and how we can improve in the future. We appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for joining us. Goodbye.